o'clock, we will call to order the Tuesday, May 9th meeting of the Common Council. Mr. Schwartz, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lees, will you call the roll?
Mr. Ayers?
Present.
Mr. Boyce?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Present.
Mr. O'Connor?
Here.
Mr. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Schwartz?
Present.
Mr. Sparks?
Present.
Ms. Wiles?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the executive session memorandum from April 25th.
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the executive session memorandum from our April 25th meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Approval of the minutes from our April 25th meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our April 25th meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Approval of tonight's agenda.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting. It's a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Petitions or comments by citizens who are present. I do not have any, but if you would like to speak, there are slips of paper out by the front doors, and you can give those to Ms. Lees, and we will call you up when your item is presented. Moving on to council committee reports. First, Parks, Mr. Schwartz.
Yes, Mr. President, Parks Board met last Wednesday. Briefly, some takeaways. We had golf revenue is continuing to set records, had an excellent month last month. Job openings, still looking to hire some full-time, part-time employees and summer camp counselors. The playground equipment is underway, construction is underway at Forest Park, looking to be completed by Memorial Weekend, cross our fingers. Maintenance, Parks maintenance is keeping busy, looking to add garage doors to the carousel and have it open May 13th. For all the events, you can go to their website, check them out.
Any questions for Mr. Schwartz? Moving on to roads, Mr. Ayer.
Yes, Mr. Boyce, Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Peterson, myself met on 5/5 or April 5th, I'm sorry, May 5th of 23, along with Ms. Lees and Ms. Johnson with the Street Department and Ms. Krupski of Engineering. Mr. Boyce was on time for that meeting. Our 2023 street rehabilitation contract 2 bid will be bid in June. That'll cover Morris Point subdivision, Old Town, Noblesville, south of Cherry and east of 10th Street, Pinehurst and Pebblebrook Village, Prairie Crossings and Woods at Greens. I guess that's Prairie Crossing, Woods at Greens. Our contract 3, 2023 Community Crossing Grant Award, we received a $1 million award on 4/12 of 23. We're going to bid projects in June. We'll cover Union Chapel Road, Greenfield Avenue to Town and Country. Ms. Wiles is interested in that one.
I'm very interested in that.
Town and Country Boulevard, Union Chapel to Mercantile, and Chapelwood subdivision, the west portion. There's a few county projects going on, but most of those are going to take place later in the year, so I'll hold off on those. We do have some bridge replacements on the Vestal Kirkendile ditch, 161st, Gray to Hazeldale. There'll be a 2-week closure starting June 12th. And there'll be a replacement of Presley Bridge, or Presley Boulevard culvert north of 32. And there'll be some traffic restrictions in June on that. Induct projects, 32, 38 roundabout. We all are kind of familiar with what's going on out there. 32 and River Road roundabout that's been awarded. The south leg of 32 and River Road will be closed for 30 days, and the signal is permanently removed there. State Road 32 reconstruction and signal projects, the bid date on that is May 10th, tomorrow. And that will include decorative light poles at State Road 19, 8th, 9th, and 10th Street. And construction of 32 is going to take place in 2020, I guess later this year and into 24. 37 and 186th Street, we've had a lot of issues out there. The reduced conflict intersection, the bid will be let tomorrow on that. It's being funded with Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. There'll be a right in, right out, left turns from State Road 37 to Field Drive. Let's see, 38 and Bowden Road, construction of that roundabout will be spring of 24, will require full closure for a part of that time. Nickel Plate Trail, that's been awarded, or we were awarded $3.13 million. Calumet Contractors is doing the work out there. Construction is being done as we sit here. And I don't have a completion date on that. Mr. Boyce, Mr. Peterson, Mr. O'Connor, anything to add?
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Ayer? Okay, moving on to finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met May 4th. Rather brief meeting, wasn't a number of things on the agenda. Primarily, there's a fiscal action for consulting services for TIF analysis done by Baker Tilly. There were a couple of years of invoices that hadn't been presented. So those are coming forward. That's our transfer number 1 action, but suffice, this was something we do annually to make sure that the TIF base is accurate from an assessed valuation standpoint. Must have been an oversight from a billing perspective, but it's a $18,000 item, so not a huge issue. But that was essentially the bulk of the meeting, and the claims come with a favorable recommendation from the Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I would move to approve the claims.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. This is the hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Miscellaneous number 1, council to consider resolution RC-24-23, a resolution concerning a public-private partnership. Mayor Jensen.
Good evening, Mr. President. Members of the council, great to be in front of you tonight. Yesterday was a great day in our city. I think yesterday was a great day for our state. As I stated yesterday afternoon, for many of you who were there, Indiana is certainly a basketball state, and I believe Noblesville is a basketball city. And that partnership and that narrative got even stronger yesterday as we announced a partnership with our friends at the Indiana Pacers to relocate their G League affiliate team to the city of Noblesville. The plan is that the city of Noblesville will construct a 3,400 seat, 85,000 square foot arena, most likely on the east side of town, adjacent to Finch Creek Fieldhouse there. And that the Pacers will be the main lessee of that site for 40 days throughout the year, with the city of Noblesville adding, being able to utilize and program that site for additional 300 days throughout the year. When we spoke with the Pacers early on, they were interested in locating the team in and near their NBA affiliate, in a fast-growing community, in a community that's excited about basketball, excited for its future, and wanted to partner with us. And I want to applaud the Pacers for coming alongside us from day one to be a full partner in this. They knew from our early negotiations that this had to be a partnership that made sense not only for the Indiana Pacers, but for the 71,000 people who call the city of Noblesville home. So we are excited about this. We are excited to have them call Noblesville home. So in front of you, you have a term sheet tonight that outlines the initial agreement to start the process to move this forward. The plan is, upon approval this evening, the goal is to be under construction later this fall for the arena on the east side, with it opening to fans at some point in time during the 2024-2025 season. President CEO Rick Fuson, I'll invite him up here in just a minute to kind of go over some details. He can talk a little bit about what the plan is. They currently play in Fort Wayne under the name the Mad Ants. They will play under that name the remainder for this season. They'll play those games at Gamebridge Fieldhouse downtown Indianapolis, and then they'll retire that name. And then when they move into the new facility in Noblesville, they will be the Noblesville fill in the blank. And we have yet to fill in that blank. There's a lot of interest in that blank. I've certainly heard about it from fans and friends. I'm sure all of you as we have as well. We've been so focused on this deal that we will continue working with the Pacers to develop that name in short order, but obviously welcome everyone's suggestions. I've already read some very clever ones online and in the newspaper. So the term sheet you have in front of you is the kind of some high-level items for you. The city's committing to build an arena to G League specifications. As I mentioned to many of you, that while the G League specifications will be there, it's going to be designed for maximum flexibility because we'll want to be able to use that facility for other events throughout the 300-plus days throughout the year that the Pacers are not occupying it. The Pacers are contributing $5 million in rent over a 10-year term. They'll also contribute the first $500,000 per year in naming rights and sponsorships, so a total of an average of $1 million a year for the first 10 years. So I appreciate the Pacers coming to the table for a $10 million investment. I think it's important, Mr. Aaron and I were talking about this, that this will be a city-owned asset. The Pacers will be leasing it and renting it for 40 days throughout the year, and then will be a city-owned asset that we'll be programming for other events throughout the year. It really is focused on making the east side of Noblesville, the Bowdoin Road corridor, a entertainment and sports district. We have a major anchor at exit 210 with Simon Malls, which is actually by far the most visited mixed-use development in all of Hamilton County. Obviously, our friends at Ruoff just down the street are a huge player in entertainment every single year and a great partner for the city of Noblesville. And then Mojo Up Sports Complex, which is already on Finch Creek property, will be continues to be a catalyst as well. So this will just add to that Bowdoin Road narrative, the Bowdoin Road Sports Entertainment District going forward. The Pacers retain ticket sales, team sponsorship, and merchandise sales, as pointed out wisely by our city attorney earlier. Those ticket sales are for Pacers games events only. And then the city is to retain concessions and parking revenue. So that's the high level of the term sheet that you have in front of you. I want to invite Rick Fuson, the president of the CEO and CEO of the Indiana Pacers Sports and Entertainment, to say a few words, and then we're happy to take questions from the council. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, councilors. I can't tell you how excited I am as a member of the Indiana community for all my life to be able to be in your beautiful city. A number of years ago, I had the opportunity to help open Deer Creek at that time on Bowdoin Road, and then yesterday I got to return to Bowdoin Road. So it's amazing what has happened in your city in the last X number of years, and we're very honored to be part of a process that hopefully will come to fruition, and we'll be able to open with the Noblesville blanks in this new arena sometime in that 24-25 season. But since we will play in Gamebridge Fieldhouse over the next year, really we will start our opportunities in Noblesville then. Our company, owned by Herb Simon, he's the longest standing owner in the NBA. We are one of the few teams, few franchises that have all of the NBA products, NBA, WNBA, G League, and also our Pacers gaming group as well. And so we feel very committed to the game of basketball. Our moniker is "We Grow Basketball Here." And as we go forward, we'll be part of the state fair this year. We're already part of Hamilton County and other places, and we look forward to bringing our expertise to this building as well. Yes, we will be a rentor, per se, for 40 days, but with us, we bring you expertise in terms of events. We bring our expertise in terms of selling sponsorships, of which we do tens of millions of dollars, and we look forward to being a major part of your community. The G League continues to grow. The 54% of the young men who were on NBA rosters at the end of the season have had some experience in the G League. 9 of the Indiana Pacers at the end of the season have had some G League experience as well. So this is, in my opinion, this is not a minor league team. This is a major league team. We are in 29 different cities in Mexico and Canada, and we're on ESPN, and you know, I even heard today that we were in Sports Illustrated yesterday. So that's the kind of thing that we would like to bring to Noblesville, and we appreciate the opportunity to be part. As the mayor said, this has been a partnership mentality from the get-go, and as important of anything would be our community service. We have been known in our state for our community service, and Herb Simon preaches to us every day that that's more important than anything. We can win games, we can be part of economic development, but serving community is as important as anything that we do. So I thank you very much. We're honored to be part, and we look forward to working with you over this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to reiterate, first of all, I had to laugh yesterday as a decently chubby kid in high school to end up in Sports Illustrated last night. I feel like I got the last laugh at that one, so it was kind of a high moment for me. I will say, just sheer statistics, which we've gone over, we're looking to attract over 65,000 new visitors to Noblesville attending just the Pacers games here throughout the entire year, which will equate to, this arena itself will equate to over $30 million of annual economic impact for the city of Noblesville going forward. And then I think one of the most important things is that being the Noblesville blanks, and that's not the name, but he said it earlier, the Noblesville somethings, the Noblesville name, which Noblesville is the only Noblesville in the entire United States. The Noblesville name will be in 29 media markets all across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. So I'm incredibly excited to take my hometown to prime time and show really the world what we have to offer here in the city of Noblesville. So with that, I'm happy to close and take questions that I hope and certain you have.
Any questions for Mayor Jensen?
Mr. President.
Ms. Lau?
So as the representative from the east side, I am very sensitive to Finch Creek Park and being able to serve the residents out on the east side. And so I see this as an addition to the master planning process, but can you provide a little bit of update on what sort of impact it really has on the park time schedule for continued development?
Yeah, that's a great question, Councilor Wiles. You know, for a little history for folks who maybe listen online or here today, Finch Creek Park is 200 acres in size, and several years ago we made an initial investment alongside the Mojo Up, which at the time was the Finch Creek Field House. That really got us going on a nearly $7 million initial investment in that park, which now, and as we well know in the civil industry, a lot of that is underground. But that really got that park activated. It has a new play set there and some beautiful new landscaping and design in the initial part. This additional arena will take up some acreage of that design, but really even after the arena is constructed and the Mojo Up Fieldhouse is there, there's still nearly 165 acres there that are going to be developed over time. Our hope is that this project, this announcement today, will be a catalyst for us to do some more programming, kind of a phase 2 of that parks master plan. Brandon Bennett, who's here tonight, and his team have been continuing to work and rework like any good master plan to see how things fit, and also just see how society evolves when it comes to comes to parkland. I will also say that with this council support, we have really focused on somewhat of a decentralization of our parks programming in the city of Noblesville. We have some major anchor parks in Noblesville, which is great, but even on the east side, we've added, as part of the Hyde Park development, a 195-acre passive park with trail network that will be a part of that. And then a lot of the developments that we have seen in front of us and that we will see in the coming months and years have park space built into those, so folks are able to walk and have more access to parkland. But to your initial question, this is going to be a catalyst for a phase 2 investment of that master plan at Finch Creek. So any of those residents who live around there should be excited about kind of not only what this arena will bring, but what it will catalyze for the entire park. So thank you for the question.
Mr. Mayor, can you talk a little bit about how this project will affect our capital plan and other projects we have going on out there, Innovation Mile in particular?
Yeah, so from day one, when Rick and Daniel Lopez, who's here tonight too, and I have to thank him for the work he's done, when they approached us about this project, we focus a lot every single day in the city of Noblesville on building roads, keeping people safe, creating jobs. We always have to be ready and willing to accept really neat opportunities that come along, but we can't sacrifice those key functions of government going forward. And we have worked hard in conjunction with you to develop a very robust 10-year capital plan. So one of the guiding principles that I gave Deputy Mayor Matt Light and City Attorney John Hughes, who I owe a lot of credit to for this, was that we could not sacrifice what we have announced in terms of Pleasant Street going forward, for example. Innovation Mile is a huge initiative that's drawing attention all around the world to the city of Noblesville. Our public safety building, which we are desperately in need of. All were things that had to maintain their strength and their priority while folding this in. And we're able to, with our capacity, this will just fold right into our plan going forward and will not impact at all in a negative way any of the capital plan. I will say, in full transparency, a lot of the infrastructure around there may be adjusted due to timelines because of this, but those are just some tweaking within the master plan.
And this won't affect our tax rate?
No, our tax rate remains $1.10 and is untouched.
Thank you.
You mentioned it a few times, but can you talk about how we're planning on investing on Bowden Road, both us and the state?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mentioned kind of adjusting some timelines there. We know that Bowden Road is a heavily traveled corridor. There's a reason why we invested with some friends to the south there on a new roundabout at 156th and Bowden Road, as Deer Creek Elementary School has been opened up. We also saw last couple of years opening up a new roundabout at 146 in Oleo. So already some major investments over there. Certainly we want to continue that. We have already engaged in partnership with the state and then even locally a corridor design of the entire Bowden Road corridor that is already actually up to 40% design. So we'll now kind of be able to take, once you get to 40%, that's a key benchmark in engineering, we'll be able to take that and move that, accelerate that up with some local funds to get going. We were awarded some funds from our friends at the state for a new roundabout at 166th in Oleo that is currently scheduled for the 2026 funding year. We're going to go back behind the scenes and see if we can bump those up a year or two just to align with the opening of this project. And then the state is investing in a roundabout at State Road 38 and Bowden Road to the north that's scheduled for 2023 or 2024. So that should be coming online quickly. We also know there's some ancillary roads around there. Mrs. Wiles is going to ask me about 166. I drive it all the time too on my way out there for basketball practice for my son, not me.
Right.
And I know that so we're going to be kind of taking a look at a corridor study on those northern arteries as well to make sure that we have the capacity there to go. And I believe Bowden Road is actually scheduled because of some of our community crossings funding to be resurfaced this year. So we'll at least be resurfaced during the meantime while we finish up our design and funding plans for that entire corridor.
And all of that really was in place before this.
Yeah,
even existed.
absolutely. I mean, government doesn't work that fast enough to be able for me to bluff my way through that we just came up with that. That has all been in the pipeline for quite a while.
Yeah.
And like I said, it'll probably just coming down to some tweaking of timeline and dates to shift things around to make sure we meet the market.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other
Just a
questions?
real quick question, Mr. Mayor. What are your thoughts on programming for the facility for those 300 days that we'll have the opportunity to do different things in the community? It's early on, but any thoughts or ideas?
Absolutely. We have a pretty good partner just to the south of us in Live Nation that knows a thing or two about programming spaces like this. So we've already begun conversations with them. That's obviously a very different size arena than what they're used to out at Ruoff, which seats about 26,000 people. A lot of folks have mentioned the new fuel arena in Fishers, which is very exciting. That's a much larger arena than this, so this is kind of a different market. We've engaged Hamilton County Tourism. Part of their study that they're working on actually has really identified this size of an arena that is really in need. I see some strong partnerships with IHSAA events. There are plenty of youth sports events that are taking off. Going in there, but I also think community events, graduations, and others will be able to be programmed there. Our goal is, while this building will be built to G League specifications, which based on the document Danny Lopez sent me is no small feat, it will also be a flexible space that can be programmed with other things in mind besides sporting events there. So, but we are making a big investment on behalf of the city out there, and so we're going to make sure that we capitalize on that long term to bring as many people and economic impact into that facility long term.
Any other questions from?
Before Mr. Connor asks, what is your timeline for opening.
So our goal, obviously, here tonight kicks off the process of going through the public process here. Our goal will be under construction in the fall of 2023, this year. The plan is to have this facility open to the G League team at some point in time during the 2024-2025 season, so late 24, early 25 is the goal. I say that confidently, but also in this day and age of construction, we all know a thing or two about how that works. But we have a team locked and ready to roll to get that going.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. O'Connor?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution RC-24-23 as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution RC-24-23. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I know.
Thank you
very
guys,
much.
appreciate you.
Miscellaneous number 2, council to consider Resolution RC-21-23, a resolution concerning the acquisition of real estate. Mr. Hughes.
Mr. President, members of the council, good evening. John Hughes, City Attorney. I have before you a resolution that concerns the acquisition of real estate as concerns not this project. That's okay. That's totally fine. Part of the development that we do in the city involves also having to, as the mayor mentioned, improve our infrastructure. So we have some need for some infrastructure improvements at the corner of 146th Street and River Road. I'm going to attempt to show you here on my computer. Sometimes these things will show you. This is an approximate image of what we're looking at here. The orange areas are temporary right-of-way that we're seeking to acquire as part of this road expansion. You see some dotted lines on there. That's right-of-way that's already been dedicated as part of this expansion or this improvement here at 146th River Road. And the green area off to the right-hand side of that image is the permanent right-of-way that we're looking to acquire. And so this resolution authorizes us to proceed with the next step, that next step being negotiating with property owners. Everyone has been notified. We haven't been able to negotiate all of this yet, so hopefully we'll be able to get that completed, but this will allow us to get the appraisals and to begin that process to try to acquire this, hopefully by amicable resolution, and we seek your approval for that resolution tonight.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Hughes?
When you say temporary, when does that start and stop approximately?
So oftentimes we can negotiate with a landowner exactly when that will be. Typically what we're looking at is it starts at the commencement of the project, and then once the road is completed, temporary is released. So it just kind of depends on project spec, but we usually say somewhere between 3 to 9 months, just depending on how long the project takes. But we certainly can negotiate with property owners if there's a specific time frame that would help. We'll work with them on that.
Any other questions for Mr. Hughes?
Mr. President,
Mr. O'Connor?
I'd move that we approve Resolution RC-21-23 as presented.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution RC-21-23. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? 8-1. Thank you very much. Transfers. Transfer number 1, in the general fund to allocate funding for costs associated with required analysis of assessed value growth in the city's tax increment districts. Mr. Zalgowski.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Ian Zalgowski, Deputy Financial Officer from the Office of Finance and Accounting. As Councilor O'Connor had stated, the county requires us to submit tax increment finance or TIF neutralization analysis reports. We have been submitting those reports for a couple of years now, but we had not been being billed in 2021 or 2022. It is now 2023, and we have received an invoice requesting that we pay for those 2 years and this year. So we feel like it is the right thing to do to pay the bills. But we did not budget for this item, so we are asking for a transfer from contingency for a total amount of $18,570. Of that, $12,370 will be non-recurring one-time, that is to pay for 2021 and 2022, and we are asking for $6,200 of that to be a recurring amount for paying 2023 and the forthcoming years.
Going forward, this will be part of your budget?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve transfer TA 0523.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve transfer TA-05-23. This is also a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9 out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're on to council comments. Any comments before we adjourn? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.